You are listening to the Bills Blitzkrieg Podcast, brought to you by the Bills Blitzkrieg Network.
All right, we're back again for another Bills Blitzkrieg Podcast. I guess this is the 11th pod? Is that right?
I believe so.
Yeah, we're moving fast. I mean, I guess we've had like 14, so officially it's 11, but we've had about 14 and had to throw a couple in the dumpster, but all part of the process.
Yeah, and we did take the last couple weeks off. We've missed everybody dearly. We've been trying to still be active on Twitter, but, things get pretty busy this time of year. Springtime's happening, so we've been taking some trips and just a little bit of leisurely time off, but I'm glad to be here, and I'm sure my cohort Jake here is as well.
Always happy, and it's fun to get back behind the mic. It's always fun to sit here and talk about Bills topics. And I took some time. I have to confess, I vastly underappreciated how much work, time, effort, and expertise it takes to fully analyze draft prospects. I thought I even taken shortcuts. I could only get through the first round, and it took me about a week. So at this point, I had planned to have a full 7-round mock draft ready for the Bills. I quickly learned that I need to spend a lot more time with college football prospects, but I at least got through the first round, and I think I have some pretty firm ideas of who I want to see picked at number 30. And I think you also have some hot food takes for us.
It's more of an appreciation, but we will get to that little ways down the road. I mean, I'm sure we can come up with some hot takes, but we'll leave the listeners on the edge of their seat. But we can move.
I think I know.
We can move right to the regular segment. Beverage check. What are you drinking tonight, Jake?
I cracked my cold one.
Oh, there it is.
I'm going heavy again. So I did just take my trip to Maine.
Okay.
Weekend before last. Came back with a lot of really good suds.
Whereabouts did you go in Maine? It's a beautiful state. Beautiful state.
Oh, fabulous. All the ferries are still closed, so we went up through Messina over Rouse's Point, crossed over to Vermont, went all the way down, stopped off at Alchemist on the way through, and then
nice.
Spent some time down in Bangor, Maine, learned a love for Frisbee golf, picked up a lot of good beers on the way, stopped down at Portland, didn't hit too many breweries after that, but they had a really cool bottle shop called the Beer Cellar down there. Made sure I stopped off and grabbed a case. Among them, I'm getting quite a big head on this, was this Barreled Souls and Finback collaboration called Hip Hops Are Fucking Dead.
Okay.
It's a triple IPA.
Triple IPA. That's a hefty boy.
Yeah, so I want to preface my excuse already that picking a running back for first round is because I'm drunk for no other reason. I had this 11% triple IPA.
That's fair. I mean, you're upfront and honest with all of us, so no fault there. I am on the complete other end of the spectrum. I'm drinking a very respectable Genesee cream ale. Not much needs to be said about it. I'm sure most people that listen to this podcast, the little bit of listeners that we do have probably all heard of or have drank Jenny cream ale. It's a classic Jenny staple. Smooth and delicious.
Any Western New York bar, $3 a can, right?
Oh yeah. No, actually, I almost want to. I wish I could show everybody my our beer fridge, which by beer fridge I mean a little slide out drawer in our refrigerator that holds about, I think, 25 cans, if I remember right. It's straight full of Jenny. We got some Jenny box in there from the springtime, late winter. Got some Red Eyes, the new Ruby Red Kolsch, which is, I think we may have touched on that beer time or two before, and then we got some cream ales. So Genesee, if anybody affiliated with Genesee Brewing is listening to this, we would love to be sponsored by you guys. We are huge Jenny fans. Just ship us all the beer you got, and we'll work for free.
Yeah, price point and flavor, that's all you need. And if I got a 30 rack of Genesee once a month, I'd be happy to shout them out. It doesn't have to be the fancy ones. Maybe every once in a while you can send me a nice 4-pack you're experimenting with, but just a 30 rack of Red Eyes, and I'm good to go, man. Yeah,
I heard that. Genesee makes a quality brew. Go ahead.
Oh, I didn't get to do my review of this.
Okay.
It smells very pungent right up front. It's got a nice malt back one, but for 11%, it's not half as boozy as you'd expect. It must be hopped to the teat. Nice and citrusy and a little bit pithy. And it's barreled soul, so you can kind of taste everything they do is put in the barrel. It's all aged in the barrel. You talk to them about a bright take, then they'll tell you to lick their balls and go put it in the barrel. You can taste the nice oak there. Really good beer. And then I wish we got them. I've had them a few times here in Western New York, but I saw them on the shelves in Portland, and really glad I did. This is a really delightful and complex and delicious beer.
Nice. Yeah, you said it was a triple IPA, correct?
Yeah, you'd think it definitely tastes imperial, but I'd say flavor-wise, it tastes more like an 8.
Nice.
I did a
Yeah.
good job with it.
See, that's I think that would be a style that I don't necessarily gravitate toward. Even double IPA, sometimes I would just rather scale it back, have your regular old IPA, depending on, a myriad of things. Every IPA is different, they say. More often than not, I think that's true. But yeah, I wouldn't gravitate toward a triple IPA. So that's glad that it's nice and well balanced and not like an imperial where some imperials can just taste way overly boozy. And just completely dominate the massive hop bill that it's included with those types of beers. So yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah, and a lot of times it can wash it out too, because when you're just trying to compensate for that booze,
right?
You're putting in an inordinate amount of hops, and you really can't taste the hops. But this time, no, you can really taste everything, and it's rare to find one. That's usually my rule of thumb is I don't go over 9% for IPAs because it either just tastes too boozy, too oxidized, or the hops are just washing each other out and you can't taste it. But this one, I think these are two of the Finback's one of the best IPA brewers. Barreled Soul's been making great beer, barrel aged beers so you can expect with that superstar collaboration. Very happy with it, not disappointed at all.
Nice, glad to hear it. So I guess we can move on to our, I think now regular food portion of the podcast, and we are ranting and raving about hot dogs today. The classic American treat, the ballpark staple. It's, who doesn't like a freaking hot dog?
So at the stadium, you buy 4, you bring them back to your seat, and you eat them in 5 minutes. That's the whole point, right? You just shovel them down.
Oh, yeah.
You got your 24-ounce deucer in the other hand, and your team cheering on your team. You're good to go.
That's right. And I would like to segue off of, being at the stadium by giving a shout out first and foremost to Hofmann sausages out of Syracuse. They're my favorite dog. I have very fond memories of getting dome dogs at the Carrier Dome in Syracuse, watching either football or basketball play. All it is just a steamed snappy griller, which is a mix of, I think, like veal, pork, and egg whites. It sounds, not super appetizing to the ear, but I think Zweigels, is that how you pronounce it, do a pretty similar thing out in Rochester. So, the Western New York listeners might be keen to what I'm talking about, and I'm sure a lot of them have had a Hofmann too, but man, I freaking love those things.
You see them around. It's really funny how regional hot dogs are in New York State. And I know since moving to Buffalo here, it's all Salen's. Salen's is the best. But, growing up when you were North Country boys, all about the Hofmann hot dogs. All about that nice crunchy outer skin. Is that what we call it?
Big time. Yeah, that's why they call it a snappy griller, And they do have other types. There's a German dog as well that I think is mostly pork-based. But I'm a fan of the snappy griller. They're just that real snappy skin, good flavor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I mean, I can speak to, I also, for those that don't know, I went to school in Plattsburgh, New York, got my bachelor's degree through there, and they had a food staple called the Michigan. And now, it doesn't originate from Michigan. There really is no general consensus on why they call it that. But
it has nothing to do with Michigan.
It doesn't. Nothing to do with Michigan. I don't even know if they eat these types of hot dogs in Michigan. But it is a just, your regular, I think, probably pork hot dog with a meat sauce, raw white onion chopped, and just some mustard. And they're quite delightful.
That's all you need, really, for the topping of a hot dog. But the reason why I think I probed you a little bit to do hot dogs this week was I had responded to the Bruce exclusive. I like to mention him all the time because he does a great job of content creation.
Sure.
But he doesn't put anything on his hot dogs. Nothing on his hot dogs. And I'm like, how are you just gonna have plain hot dogs, man? And a lot of people are like, oh no, if it's a good hot dog, there's no hot dog that's good. I don't know. I love a good Hofmann. I love a good Sweegles. I love a good Salins. They're good hot dogs. But what's going in a hot dog is not a cut of beef. You're not having a nice refined ribeye. It's just it's a bunch of excess meat parts ground up, put into a casing, and it tastes good. I don't want to be intimate with what's going on inside the hot dogs. I don't want to be sitting there eating it and I'm looking at it and I'm analyzing it. I want it to be covered with chili, cheese, mustard, meat sauce, whatever. I want it to be top to the T, and it's just a vessel. It's a vessel for me to shovel in food as fast as I can. That's how I eat hot dogs. Maybe I'm
okay. Well, no, that's all fair and good. I am 100% a condiment guy, or if you can pile shit onto other shit, I'm probably going to enjoy it. So I really enjoy a condiment, whether that be the meat sauce, onion, mustard, not ketchup. We won't even cross into that territory.
No ketchup. You go into Chicago, you order a hot dog with ketchup on it, they're going to send you back to New York.
And even down, New York too. I mean, it's a regional thing. I feel like, they're probably down in Texas, Florida, weird fucking places like that. They probably eat ketchup on their hot dogs, but
backwards people.
Yeah. But no, speaking of Chicago dog, I mean, I've been to Chicago and I've had a Chicago dog, and with toppings that you think just absolutely would not work on a dog, they're also one of my favorites. I like to recreate them at home from time to time. But they're a pretty popular hot dog among other hot dogs, so people buy them for a reason. I don't know if you ever delved into that territory.
I've never been to Chicago, so I've never had a Chicago dog. I've had some dogs down in New York City. I've had Chicago style dogs. I've had those Michigans when I went up to visit you in Plattsburgh.
Okay.
And I always like the top. I put all sorts of weird shit on my hot dogs. Sometimes I'll just cut up a pickle. If there's just like some extra onions, chuck them on there.
Yeah, it's really just
chili,
a hot meat vessel for
cheese,
anything you want, really,
sauerkraut.
And back to Bruce exclusive, I don't
Black
think he's that crazy for not, necessarily wanting a condiment on his dog. If you have a really good dog, I don't know. If there were no condiments around, I'm still going to eat it. But if I had my preference, just a stripey yellow mustard, and I'm good to go.
I mean, sure, if I'm hungry enough, and I've had plenty of times where all I could afford was a pack of hot dogs for the week, run out of the mustard, sure, I'll shovel that hot dog down my gullet. But, I mean, if I have a choice, hot dogs need something. It doesn't even have to be ketchup or mustard.
Yeah.
Preferably mustard. Ketchup disguises flavors. This is why everyone hates Patrick Mahomes for eating his well-done hot steaks with ketchup. But, anyways, you put some pickles on it. Maybe even a little relish. Sweet relish is weird. Not that.
Even if you have,
put a carrot on it.
Yeah, even if you have, the junk drawer Taco Bell sauce that's been sitting in there for 2.5 years, throw it on.
Perfect.
It's fine.
Perfect.
It's fine.
Yeah.
But anyway,
let everyone know that's not putting. I just want to let them all know though. All you people that responded to my retweet saying that you don't put anything on your hot dogs, I'm compiling a list of all the names. I'm collecting it. I'm analyzing it. I'm going to report you all to the FBI. This is a real serious concern. You guys are all clearly menaces to society and a danger to national security. I will not stand for it. We're going to track you guys down. But all the love to you.
All right. And that being said, that is Jake's own personal view. He does not represent Bill's Blitzkrieg media networks or anything of the matter. And we will go on record saying that, and we will move on to around the league.
I don't know if there's any legitimate criminal charge for having naked hot dogs, but I'm going to find one. I'm going to get my way up into the Senate. I'm going to campaign for local assembly, find my way up into the Senate, and I'm going to write a bill that you have to put things on your hot dogs. I'm that committed to this.
It could be a thing somewhere, states' rights and all that.
Right, exactly.
Probably not federal law, but who knows?
I'll make it happen. This is the hill I'm dying on. Put things on your hot dogs, people. It's the way to be.
All right. So, hot dog talk. If you think you want to get into it with us on hot dogs on Twitter, please feel free to do so. We're always willing to debate any food takes. And next up, we'll go to around the league. And Jake wanted to talk about Deshaun Watson lawsuit and the follow-up on that. You got any takes on that matter?
Yeah, I felt compelled to probably talk about it again. You weren't with us for the last podcast,
Right.
but I was on with Fred, and it was right when the lawsuits were hitting headlines, and I expressed some concerns, some misgivings just about the actions of the attorney Tony Busby. It seemed kind of unprofessional. It seemed kind of bizarre. Let's just say bizarre. It seemed very bizarre the way he was using Instagram, using social media, and kind of promoting his celebrity on there, which gave me some pause and gave me some reasonable questions about the legitimacy of that lawsuit. However, since it's developed, just recently they've had the first alleged victim, come forward and share her story. They've had some testimony. Busby claims to have a lot of Instagram messages as well as text messages verifying the accounts, as well as a very consistent story throughout the, I believe it's 13 or 14 plaintiffs in the case. Long story short, it's not looking good for Mr. Watson over there in Houston. I'll say that.
Yeah. Well, I would say even, broader than Houston. Is this a career ender?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think anyone's ever been convicted, or let's see, it wouldn't be a conviction. You've had Ben Roethlisberger. He was okay. I don't want to drag anyone's name through the mud, but Kobe Bryant was okay after he settled his lawsuit. He's not going to be the first professional athlete to have allegations of sexual misconduct.
Sure.
At some point, he's probably going to settle this, probably sometime soon. So we'll see if there's any sort of criminal conviction. I know that they're doing a criminal investigation about it, but I don't see it as a career ender. Probably a suspension for a year or so. I think they have a mandatory 6 games for sort of things like this. And if Antonio Brown hasn't been kicked out of the league, if he got to play in the Super Bowl, I wouldn't see a reason why Deshaun Watson would have anything more severe than Antonio Brown, who have both been accused of pretty similar misconduct, I'd say.
Yeah. No, that all makes sense. He's not the first, won't be the last. I haven't really followed that story too much, but we also are going to follow up on another topic that we've talked about around the league. I think 2 episodes ago, just a little Tiger Woods update. This is going to kind of be somewhat old news, but you hate to see it. Officials found out that he was going 85 miles per hour in a 40 mile per hour zone during his crash in Los Angeles County. When he came to, he thought that he was in Florida, not in Los Angeles, across the country. So it just kind of, and especially the weekend of the Masters, getting that news and then seeing one of the most, if not the most, major golf tournament in the country go down, and just kind of, it resonates through you. There was Tiger had his great comeback win in 2019. You watch the videos, and I just did this morning after the Masters tournament ended yesterday on Sunday. You watch the masses of crowds follow him. That's when America fell back in love with Tiger again. And I don't know, this talking about career enders, this could be it for him too. It's hard to say.
Yeah, well, he had a compound fracture in his leg, right? I think just the injuries alone would be tough to come back from.
Sure.
To play at the professional level, maybe as what do they call it, the senior league or whatever. Maybe he can come back as a senior league or something. But it sucks to see. He was working his comeback, and then it's unfortunate.
And he's had some minor, I guess you could consider them major surgeries, back surgeries that he's been trying to heal up from, and I still don't think anybody knows the cause of how the crash happened, but he may never recover, and sad to see him go through that, and those who love him and are fans of his, we all feel for him, I'm sure. But anyway, onto a brighter note, the Masters just ended yesterday on Sunday. Today is Monday night, so we'll touch on that a little bit. I didn't follow most of it. I'm a working man, worked pretty much every day of the Masters, so I kind of just caught some highlights. But Hidecki Matsuyama won the Masters tournament with a score of -10 or 10 under. First person of, I think, fully Japanese descent to ever win the Masters, so he's bringing home a Masters title to Japan, and yeah, it's good to see that, especially with kind of everything that's going on with Asian Americans and the United States right now. There's an uptick in violence against them, so it's kind of probably a nice moment, good patriotic feeling for maybe some of those Asian Americans that are living in the country and can see themselves, exactly, represented in a great way winning the Masters, getting that green jacket.
Yeah, I mean, I don't watch golf by principle, but it's always nice to see somebody to break through barriers.
Absolutely,
it's funny. It opens it up for more kids and more adults to people that didn't think that they had the opportunity would now say, hey, you know what? Maybe I can do it. It only makes competition better and makes it more exciting for a lot of people, and that's pretty cool. That's the first. You're actually the first I've heard of it. I don't follow golf at all.
Yeah, no, I do.
That's a cool moment.
I do very rarely myself. Just don't have the time to watch it. Sit there and watch 4 or 5 hour rounds of golf. I like to play it, but yeah, no, it was cool to see that. So I figured we'd mention that. And getting into some sticky territory. So last week there was what I would call a very short-lived controversy on Twitter.
Yeah.
And when I say short-lived, it lasted maybe 48 hours, if that. That's there was a very short buzz on Twitter about it, but just it's WGR 550, I believe, out of Buffalo.
A journalist from WGRZ initially put this out that I know of, initially put it out onto Twitter as like a Twitter thread, and it kind of created a firestorm. And then WGR followed up with an additional opinion article that was quite hastily thrown together, let me say.
Yeah, but all of it was sourced from 10 Questions with Josh Allen. Basically, he was saying he was just hesitant on getting the vaccine, kind of wanted to wait how things and see how things played out going down the road. He caught a bunch of backlash for it online. Total media controversy. I don't know how deep we want to get into it. It's definitely old news by now and not something that should necessarily be rehashed, but it was sad to see the Bills online community just divided over something that it's not necessarily trivial, but it kind of was. I think Josh was kind of blindsided by the question maybe a little bit, and he did his best to explain his way out of it, and I think he did a perfectly fine explanation and doesn't owe anybody anything more than what he's given on the stage.
No, he's an NFL football quarterback. He's not our leading epidemiologist. He's not even a doctor.
Right.
He was asked a tough question, and he gave as close to an innocuous response as you possibly could. I had a lot of frustration with a lot of the Buffalo media trying to press this. They knew what Bush, and I don't think it was an accident. I don't think it was objective. I don't think it was objective journalism. I think they knew what buttons they could push with vaccine discussions in the political realm and in the public realm being hotly contested. I think they knew that all they had to do was put out this very isolated, innocuous quote without context, and people would fill in the blanks. And they could create a controversy to create some headlines in the offseason. And I thought that was very lowbrow, very Bush League. I tried not to comment on it, and unfortunately I spend way too much time on Twitter, so the more and more I read of it, the more frustrated I got from quote-unquote big J journalists out there pushing this as a story. Called out a couple. Then, but I was happy to see it die out. It was really a non-story, and I'm glad people called it out as what it was, and I'm glad it died really quickly because we don't need that controversy. It was a fun one-on-one with Josh Allen, and he tried his best to just kind of toe the line, not get himself part of it, but there were still people digging it to try to shame a public figure, and that was rather unfortunate, I believe.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with all that. Again, we won't rehash super far into it. So yeah, we can. I think we can leave it at that, and hope that we can kind of come together on just loving some Buffalo Bills football.
Hell yeah.
But last topic of around the league, and more specifically with the Buffalo Bills and their aesthetics during the 2021 season, is we are moving to white face masks in 2021. And I, for one, was very glad to see that decision roll out. I think they're going to be the hottest team on the field with their color rush this year. Love the red on red. Always have loved the color rush with the Bills with the white face masks. It's definitely an update from Gray. I don't know if you have a take on it, but I was happy to see it.
Yeah, the white face masks, they pop. They look good. But I mean, the Bills could have purple face masks, pink face masks. That looks like the Barbie car of all I care. I don't care too much about face masks, but the white face masks do pop. They look better than the gray. I like it.
Yeah, I was glad to see it. I'm hoping to see them kick some ass in the Super Bowl with some white face masks.
Absolutely. see you in the Super Bowl, Tampa Bay.
Ooh, we'll see. So over on our Twitter account at Bills Blitzkrieg, hopefully you're following us, and I'm sure you probably are if you were listening to this. But anyway, we had a poll going for the last 24 hours. Who is the coolest Bills receiver poll? And we only ran 4 receivers: Diggs, Beasley, Isaiah McKenzie, Dawson Knox. And so I want to preface, if there is any sort of discussion about it, just how bad I feel for Dawson Knox, because he came in 4th place at 0%. Apparently nobody thinks that Dawson Knox is very cool at all. But Diggs was voted for 45%, Beasley 36%, and McKenzie 18.2%. And on my personal Twitter, I voted for Stephon Diggs because I just think he's the man. I mean, he's
very cool.
He recently signed with Jordan. He's just got that swagger about him. Every pregame,
very stylish.
Yeah,
very stylish.
Absolutely.
Yep. Smooth as silk too. Whenever he talks.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm excited to see what he's going to do with that Jordan move. He's going to create some nice kicks. Not that I do not. I am not a sneakerhead by any means. I spend probably less than $70 on every pair of sneakers I own, but good for him.
No, I've been riding the same pair of Vans for the past 3 years, so I don't. I'd love to support you, Stephon Diggs, but I don't think I'm gonna buy a pair of Jordans. Haven't bought any yet. Not gonna buy any now.
Well, speaking of that, living in our sneakers for so long, if we have any advertisers or anybody who would want to get into advertising with us, we would love some new pairs of sneakers.
Yeah, you want to send me some Diggs Jordans? I will wear them. I mean, I'm not.
Well, I'm not going that far.
Right. But I mean, it's just unfortunate for Dawson Knox. Maybe people are being very technical because he's not a wide receiver. He's a tight end. But he does receive the football. I think that counts as a receiver. But sure. I think a lot of it is there's a lot of anger for Dawson Knox. Everyone wants him to be the 800 yards a year guy already. But, I think he's a pretty cool dude. He always wears those headbands. He likes classic country music. I wanted to mix it up, putting him in, because I had a lot of, urban cool guys. We got Beasley, who does all the rapping, And then, on Knox, because he's more like the, aw shucks kind of country cool guy. Probably used to chuck some hay back in the day. I don't know.
Yeah.
No love for our tight end one, I guess.
Apparently. Well, that's too bad for Dawson Knox. Maybe things will shape up in the 2021 season.
Yeah. I'm hoping. I mean, I pegged him as my breakout guy, and Steve Tasker did first, and I stole his idea. Let me clarify. I think he's primed for a big year. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets less than 600 receiving yards if healthy.
Yeah, that'd be nice to see. He wasn't necessarily a letdown last season, but he had a couple flubs there. But yeah, we'll see.
He was fine.
We'll see.
4 or 5 touchdowns. He was all right.
Yeah. So anyway, moving on from the Twitter appreciation, we want to talk draft options a little bit. So Jake, you just dropped an article today on a ranking of, I think, your top 6 draft options for the Bills and who they will start with at pick number 30.
Yeah. Like I was saying earlier, I did not prepare long enough ahead of time for a full mock draft, but I went and analyzed a lot of the cornerbacks. I think cornerback is going to be the major. It's probably the biggest need for Buffalo right now. Assuming we got Levi Wallace as the second cornerback next to Tre'Davious White, there's definitely room for a big upgrade there. I dug pretty deep, looked into a lot of first-round options. Who would be available at pick number 30? I'm not considering anybody that's almost going to be automatic top 15 pick. the top of the draft, there's kind of two sections, right? The top of the list is kind of guys who are expected to fall. If they fall to Buffalo, it would really be a steal. Caleb Farley is probably the big one. Travis Etienne, to a certain extent, would be a rare fall that low. And then Jalen Phillips. Those are my top three guys. And yes, I put Travis Etienne as number one. I know. I'll get all the don't draft a running back round one guys at me. I don't share that sentiment. I get it. I know there's a lot of reasoning behind it. All about having that rookie scale and that fifth round option. And you're not guaranteed, especially with the quantity of running backs available just throughout the NFL as undrafted free agents late in the rounds. And there's a high injury risk, right? The first round pick is a lot of capital. That's a lot of football capital. But Travis Etienne is a special player. I didn't put Najee Harris there for a particular reason because Travis Etienne is a special player. Najee Harris is a very good running back. Travis Etienne can explode out of the backfield for huge gains. He can run through tacklers. He bounces off, has great body control, next level vision. You can also line him up in the slot or even split out wide because he runs great routes and has excellent hands. I hear all the reasoning. Like I said, high injury risk. You can get great running backs in the 5th, 6th, 7th. I hear all that. Travis Etienne is a special player. If he drops that low, I don't even foresee him probably. He probably gets picked up in the top 20. If he drops, I don't think you overthink it. Get a guy that's going to set your offense over the top. Buffalo struggled last year, right? We struggled last year running the ball. Yes, there were some issues run blocking. There's some issues scheme. There was a lot of volatility along the offensive line, constantly rotating people in and out. A great back can overcome all that, right? Derrick Henry can overcome that. Saquon Barkley can overcome that. Christian McCaffrey can overcome a bad offensive line and still put up excellent seasons. Travis Etienne, I mean, if you think about that, right? Stephon Diggs, wide receiver 1. Cole Beasley in the slot. Either Emmanuel Sanders or Gabriel Davis as wide receiver 2. And then you add in the most explosive player in the draft in the backfield. That's offense is going to be putting up 30 points a game. Easy. On the low end. But, and I understand the positional value argument too. So I really struggle with that too because I was watching a lot of Caleb Farley tape, and that guy is excellent, right? He is an excellent cornerback. He's probably my 1B option at number 30. Also, big question mark if he falls that low. He's not guaranteed at 30. He's a top 10 talent, right? Early season, he was expected to go in the top 10. Let me catch my breath. Anyways, but a really bad back injury. Right before the pro day, he couldn't participate in pro day. He also had an ACL tear, non-contact back in 2017. I don't imagine he goes in the top 15 because of that, right? Top 15 are all teams that struggling, close to struggling, are on the edge of mediocrity. You're using that first round pick to be a cornerstone of your franchise. You don't want an expected cornerstone of your franchise to have 2 major injuries that plague most people, let alone people who are expected to play the most violent game. One of the most violent games on the globe. So that drops him down initially. He also had a very public opt-out that frustrated the coaches at Virginia Tech. A lot of people like that company man. They don't want anyone to rustle feathers, rough up the waters. He definitely did that on his way out of Virginia Tech, which I think could push him down even farther, which is only a benefit to Buffalo because this guy's excellent, right? He's the best all-around coverage player. He has great eyes, great reaction. He's a good tackler. He didn't participate in the pro day, so we can't analyze exactly. We can't measure up his speed and athleticism to something at a combine level, but he was extremely fast. I'd imagine he's probably a low 4.4s, high 4.3 runner, great agility, doesn't get burned too often. So yeah, those are my first 2. Travis Etienne, Caleb Farley.
And do we want to leave that as a somewhat spoiler alert so they can go read the article on billsblitzkrieg.com?
Yeah, BillsBlitzCreek.com. I told you guys I'm gonna get drunk by the end of this. This beer is hitting me.
And you know what? It doesn't necessarily roll off the tongue either.
No, it doesn't. We've been fumbling over our own name.
I know it.
Yeah, I mean, the rest of them, at least leave the cliffhanger, right? Go on BillsBlitzCreek.com. It's an 8-minute read. Go on there.
Yeah, there's plenty. We put lots of. There's lots of pictures on there. So, for those of you non-readers, look at the print in bold, and the photos, and you'll know exactly what we think.
There you go. I love it.
All right, awesome. But yeah, the draft's coming up soon. When is that again?
Shoot, I think it's April 28th.
Okay. 28th. So just a couple weeks away. We'll be looking forward to that, and we'll have plenty of content coming about the draft soon, and during the draft and after. So, all right. Do you have any concluding thoughts, Jake?
The draft is on Thursday, April 29th through Saturday, May 1st.
All right.
Yeah, I'll definitely
little
be on
fact
Twitter.
check.
Advocating for Travis Etienne as number one.
Okay. Yeah, should be a lively night. That's kind of one of the first things you look forward to in the off season. Not one of the first, but free agency for sure. But it's a big night in football, so.
Yeah, it's fun. I remember last year was so great too because we hadn't had any sports.
Right.
From February on?
Yeah.
So that was really cool. That was really exciting. It was like the first major sports event.
Yeah, I think it was
coronavirus pandemic.
I think it was more like March. I know the NHL was playing. I think the NBA might have just gotten started, but anyway, they canceled, everything basically. I want to say second week in March. So yeah, we were definitely looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm. This year should be exciting too. I'm really looking forward. There's a whole mentality shift this year for the Bills, which I think is probably the most exciting part because every year we've been going into the draft from 2017, even to last year, we've been building for the long term.
Right.
Now we're looking at this draft. We're established. We're more or less set. We could go in with this roster right now and we could still compete for a Super Bowl.
Absolutely.
But now we're going into the draft and we're looking at who can set us over the top and dominate teams. Who can set us over the top against the Chiefs? Who's going to contribute to building a dynasty long term? This is something that we couldn't even think to consider the possibility of ever even happening.
Right,
until last year.
That's so
exciting.
So much more exciting to me than picking up, that stud, rookie stud quarterback in the first round of the draft or whatever it might be. Those moves can be exciting, but like you said, we're already established. We could go out with our current fixins and play pretty well. It was proven last season. But yeah, hopefully we get some guys that'll, like you said, put us over the top. Mm-hmm. And I only have one concluding thought, and that is go to buy Hofmann hot dogs, especially Snappy Grillers, because they're delicious and amazing.
I'm not pushing you guys to Walmart, but I'm pretty sure I've seen them at Walmart.
Oh, they're
maybe
at
Wegmans
Walmart.
too.
Or your friendly local grocer, if you have that in your neighborhood, and like are super rich or something, because that's what rich people have in their neighborhoods.
I don't think you will here because everyone likes those Salen's hot dogs, but they just haven't had the opportunity to appreciate a good Hoffman's hot dog. That's all I want to say. Salen's are fine hot dogs, but Hoffman's are the finest.
It's the way to go, folks. All right, and so otherwise, I think that's all we have for you Bills Mafia Cretans. As always, make sure to follow us on Twitter at Bills Blitzkrieg. Like and subscribe on our YouTube. Same deal, Bills Blitzkrieg, and visit our website at billsblitzkrieg.com. If you provide us with some good material on our Twitter to read on air, we'll make sure to shout you out. And we look forward to seeing what happens in the next few weeks with the draft. Once again, we'll have plenty of content coming soon. So otherwise, we will talk to y'all later, and go Bills.